guys, happy Thursday. Hopefully you guys are doing good and enjoying your week so far. I'm enjoying my week. It's pretty much, I don't have any complaints, and I always say that. I've always been like that. Even if you guys go watch my old videos and everything, I always say I don't have an issue, because I really don't, because it's like, I'm still alive, I'm still breathing, you know. That's pretty much all that matters to me. Well, and people that I actually love, you know. But hopefully you guys are doing good, and all that good stuff. I'm on my daily walk, of course, so that's what I'm up to. It's so crazy. So I know last time I actually spoke with you guys regarding, I think I talked about, finding, getting to the transcendental state of conscious, which is like your godly state of mind, or your godly state in general, of yourself, you know. I think I spoke on that a little bit, and there's steps to it, you know. It's not easy, of course. Nothing that's good is easy, just like I mentioned before. But it's definitely possible, though, you know. Nothing's impossible, so you can always get there. You just got to know how to get there, and that's why I'm here. But I'll just share what I learned, you know, through my journey a little bit more. But things that actually helped me grow and stuff, you know. And one thing that I learned is, like, you know, the biggest obstacle. Okay, so you can imagine yourself, as I mentioned before, as, you know, Haru, which is like an aspirant, someone that actually seeking for change or seeking for something different or to expand themselves, you know. That's pretty much like an aspirant, right? So you consider yourself as an aspirant and trying to learn more to become something, right? So you could think of yourself as someone that's a student, pretty much learning, right? And that's pretty much how I am, right? And what I learned, though, through my journey is, like, there's like certain cosmic forces that are like between you being an aspirant trying to grow, right? There's certain cosmic forces between you between you and God, pretty much. So there's certain forces in the universe that you would have to, like, get through to be able to get to the godliest state of conscious, right? And the biggest obstacle, the biggest one that you need to get over, the main one, it would be ego. And I always talk about ego because it's really important, you know, because you can't really grow if you're always working out your ego, right? So, like, you could have, like, be attached to certain dark things, you know, that will actually bind you to time and space. So it'll be hard for you to grow, right? And if you're working out of your ego, it's even harder because you're binding yourself. You can't really grow if you're always working out of your ego, the negative aspect of your ego, because there's a good aspect and a negative aspect of your ego. So you can't, like, be working out of your ego and expect to grow, right? So that's why you have to work on your ego to be able to even get higher as far as, like, your conscious states, right? So that's one thing. That is one rival of Haru, is the aspirant, pretty much, we'll just say, to be able to grow as far as your conscious states, right? So that's one thing that you have to work on. The first thing, pretty much, is your ego. Once you're able to get through your ego, then you'll be able to see clearer, right? To be able to recognize yourself as a higher being versus a lower being, versus like a normal individual that doesn't know anything, that's just walking around earth and without any knowledge, right? And not growing, pretty much, being a slave to time and space. So that's why you need to work on your ego. That's the first step, is ego. And once you get past the ego, then you be able to see yourself as a higher being or a higher person, you know, to be able to even grow, to get to that state of conscious, the transcendental state, to where, you know, you pretty much have everything and your total wish fulfillment, right? So ego is the first one, right, to get through. And once you get through that, then you'd be able to grow more, right? It's like you continue to elevate the more that you grow. And that's the first obstacle. That's one of the biggest obstacles, you know. And I understand, like, there's a good part of ego too, and then there's a bad part of ego, right? So I'm talking about the part of ego where, you know, the negative aspect of the ego. So thinking that you're better than everybody else, you know everything, which stunts your growth pretty much, because how are you going to grow if you always think that you know everything? Like, there's no room to grow if you always think that you're better than everybody, you know everything, right? Or even like, because it ties into negative forces too. So you can be in your ego and think that you can beat someone with, let's say, for an example, magic, right? Dark magic. So you're in your ego thinking that you could beat other people by doing magic, being malicious to others, trying to throw fire at them, you know, and just being like selfish and just worried about yourself, you know, and no one else. Pretty much worry about yourself and no one else, and just going out of your way to be malicious to others. That's the part of the ego that I'm speaking on, right? So you can't really grow if you're always operating out of that side of your ego, right? So ego is one of the biggest, I would say, obstacle to actually get through. And then once you get through it, though, you'll be able to grow and be able to elevate your mind, right? So that is the first step to be able to get to that state of conscious, as far as the godliest state of conscious. So that's what I learned. And that's why I always harp on ego a lot, because it's the first, one of the first the biggest and first and biggest obstacles that you guys will have to actually overcome. And another thing that I learned is like your heart. So you can't really get anywhere if you have a dark heart, because imagine, like, okay, because I've had like dark hearts in the past, you know, maybe towards other people or just in general, like being upset and all that, right? So you can't really grow if your heart is heavy. So you guys know the term, maybe some of you guys know the term of like having a heart as light as a feather, you know, and that makes sense because, like, if you think about it, if you have a heavy heart and you're always upset or always angry, you'll always have that. It's like like with me, I'll feel like a burning sensation in my body, or like a heaviness around my whole being, you know, to where I'm not happy and I'm just upset, and maybe I want to lash out on that person, or in general, you know, or just not, it just doesn't, even if it's not a person, just having a heavy heart in general, it's hard to move forward because your heart's heavy. You're not satisfied, right? And so it's good to work on your heart, so that way you'll have that peace, you know. And you can't really unlock certain things if your heart's heavy, right? So like a lot of people, like there's people that will probably think that they could do certain things and not realize like they can't, because, or they're not realizing the reason why they can't obtain it is because of their heart, right? So you have to have a light heart. You can't walk around with a heavy heart and think that you could do certain things, right? Because it's not going to work out. That's like the first key, your heart. And I know a lot of people used to talk about me because I was really kind and stuff, or I am, right? And so people would take that as a weakness, not knowing that it was the actual key to get me to where I am now, you know, like, because your heart is like a reflection of yourself. So of your innermost self. So you can't really walk around with a dark, heavy heart, a malicious heart too at that, and be able to reach a certain level, because your heart's not going to let you, because it's heavy, which affects your whole being pretty much. So that is like with people laughing at me and talking about me back in the past, you know, regarding my heart and how kind I was and stuff. They didn't even realize that that was the main key, you know, to be able to unlock certain other keys, you know. So that's why it's good to work on your heart too, like your innermost self. And that's pretty much like once you work on your heart, you know, you'll notice like your whole life will change, because you're not heavy. You're not walking around with this heaviness around you or hate, you know, because how are you going to be able to be free with a heavy heart? So once you get that, that's like the main key. So and like God knows your true self, even if you try to mask it and seem like you have a good heart, you know, like the universe knows, right? So there's no sugarcoating it. And so the heart is a major obstacle too, as far as if you have a heavy heart. So it's good to work on your heart too, your heart chakra. To even be able to do certain things, you have to work on that too. So the ego and the heart especially. And once you purify yourself pretty much, then you'll be able to grow even faster. So once you work on your heart and your ego, you know, then you'll be able to move forward a little bit, you know, until you get to the godliest state of yourself. So you can kind of consider it like walking through a maze, or climbing a tree, and you being at the bottom of the tree, like the aspirant, right? But you're seeking to get to the top, right? But imagine you being on the bottom, and like you have all these cosmic forces between you and God that could that you have to overcome to be able to get to the godly estate, right? So you have to actually weave through all of the cosmic forces and obstacles that are trying to keep you astray from your godly estate, right? You have to work on that. And then the further that you go, you know, the higher you become as far as being evolved with your conscious state, right? And then when you be able to get all the way to the godly estate, then you'll be able to be at peace, total peace and fulfillment, right? So, but you have to work on your heart. You can't get there with a dark heart and heavy heart. That's why it's good to work on yourself. And that's where the self journey comes into play, as far as like you working on yourself and striving through the obstacles, as far as like the lower divinities, you know, things that are blocking you or trying to keep you astray from your godly estate, right? Let's say like dark magic, that is one, I would say. You can't be out here doing certain things like that and expect to get to a higher conscious state, right? Because it's binding you to time and space, because it's not of God, right? So that's just an example. So, I mean, I don't want to really touch too much on... I'll touch on the cosmic forces maybe next time or in a couple videos, so that way you guys can understand what I mean as far as the cosmic forces that you have to like go through to strive through to be able to get to the godly estate, you know. I'll speak more about that in a later video, so you guys kind of understand what I'm speaking about when I talk about the cosmic forces. But it's pretty much forces within the universe, but they're cosmic forces that you actually have to strive through to get to overcome, to be able to get to the godly estate of yourself, right? But I say right now, I say the best thing to do is kind of like work on yourself as far as like your heart, to where like pretty much purify yourself. Like if you have any ill intentions, or if you think ill of certain things or people, you know, you got to work on that, so that way you can purify your heart, so that way your heart can be light. Because if you have a heavy heart, it's hard to strive through, you know. So you got to work on your heart chakra. And that is pretty much the key. Like, I know that your heart is the main key, you know, because you can't really grow if you have a heavy heart, right? If you purify your heart and make it lighter, and purify yourself, then you'll be able to grow faster, right? It's not actually holding you back because your heart's light. So you don't have to walk around with attitudes all day, or being rude to other people, or malicious, or trying to hurt others because your heart's heavy. And when it's light, you're not thinking about things like that, right? You start to think at a different level as far as growing and working on your soul, because you'll understand the higher aspect of yourself versus the lower aspect of yourself. So working on your heart is like the main key. I would say it's the main key. That and your ego. Your ego gets you nowhere, first of all. But yeah, your heart is the main key. And even when people will laugh at me because of my heart, you know, or try to get things over on me, you know, because of it, thinking I'm too sweet, that they can manipulate me and all this stuff, right? In the end, they didn't even realize that was the main key. Because you can't really do certain things, especially with the universe, if your heart's heavy, because the universe knows your heart. So it's not going to grant it to you the way that you want it to, because the universe knows. Even if you try to mask it, the universe will still know, which is God, pretty much, because God is everything. So once you understand that, then you'll be able to embody certain energies to be able to help you. So yeah. I'll explain it a little bit more, especially with the cosmic forces, a little later on. But for now, I know like what I worked on when I first started going through my journey was my heart chakra, and then ego too. Because I used to be like, I did work out of my ego back in the day a lot. Like, I would get upset fast, or I would think nobody could tell me anything. And I spoke about this on my YouTube channel before, where I would walk around and like think like no one could tell me anything because I felt like I knew it, you know. And I just didn't want to listen to any advice, pretty much. And I think that was where my ego played a huge part. But now I learned more of like knowing that I don't know everything, and that, you know, there's always room to grow, and there's other people that actually have more knowledge than you that can actually help assist you in growing, right? So that way you'll be able to grow. And so that was like a tough one for me back in the day, but not anymore. So I am open to like learning new things and listening to other people, because they're a part of your growth too, you know. No, not it don't matter who you are, you know, you can always learn more. And it's like, why not? What's the issue? You know. So yeah. The ego is the rival of Hoodoo, which is the aspirant, which is you. So work on that. And then I say the heart, to try to work on your heart chakra, so that way you can live life more freely without any hate in your heart, you know, which is heavy. I don't like having a heavy heart. It's annoying to me, and it just stresses me out. And so even if I get upset and stuff like that, I try to find peace in something else, you know, or something that would bring me peace, because it's not good to walk around with a heavy heart, because then that's when you start sending out negative energy out into the universe, which is obviously going to come back to you eventually. I mean, you put out what you get. I mean, you get back what you put out pretty much. So if you have a heavy heart, then you're not putting out good energy, right? You're putting out negative energy, which is just reflecting itself back to you. It's coming back to as above, so below. So you send out negative energy because you have a heavy heart. You manifest that, right, in the 5D, and then it shows up in the 3D, right? So it doesn't help to have a heavy heart. So it's good to work on your heart, like genuinely work on your heart, you know, so that way you can receive what you need, right? You can't fake it, because the universe knows, God knows. So there's really no way around it if you think about it. And it's so crazy because, you know, I always say God is the universe, because that's why, like, a lot of things, like, well, people would think that they're getting away with certain things, right? Because they haven't gotten caught, or they've been getting away with it for so long, you know. And I know that, like, God exists in the universe, right? Like, God is the universe, because, like, there will be times where people will get away with, like, crazy things, right? And then all of it, they think they get away with it, right? But then all of a sudden something supernatural will happen to where it's revealed, or it'll come out to light, or they get some type of not punish, well, I'll say it's a consequence from their actions, right? Eventually. But it comes like through a crazy way where they wouldn't have never expected, right? And that's why I always speak about the unseen forces, and how you have to be careful how you treat other people, because there's always an unseen force that is actually seeing everything that you're doing, right? So you'll always get that, you'll always get back what you put out, regardless if you think you're getting away with it or not. So it's like, why even try? You know, just be true to yourself, do the right thing as much as you can, and then you'll be able to see more positive results, and you don't have to worry about it coming back to bite you in your butt, you know. I don't know. That's just my thought. And that's why I always say that God is the universe, right? Because he sees everything. So that's why, like, people, they think they're getting away with certain things, and they really aren't. Because there's always somebody watching. There's probably somebody watching me right now. An unseen force, at least, you know. But then you'll see, like, certain things playing out in people's lives, and then you'll be able to see, like, what type of energy they were actually putting out, you know, because you'll get it back eventually, no matter how long it takes. So it's like, why not just work on that, you know? Try to be the best that you can, the best version of yourself, because in the end, you know, none of this material stuff is going to matter in the end. You're not, when you pass on, you know, you're not going to be able to take your house. You're not going to be able to take your car. You're not going to be able to take your husband, your kids. And nothing really will matter in the end. As well, I'm not saying your family won't matter, but like the material aspect, you know. And none of that's going to matter, because the only thing that you'll have in the end is your soul. So it's like, people do all this malicious stuff and hurt people and steal and cheat and do all this crazy stuff, right? Just for the material aspect of life. And then in the end, their soul is so disrupted and damaged, you know. When they pass on, it's like, what did you even gain out of the whole experience? Materials, you know, material things. But like, what about your soul? Like, there's no growth on your soul, right? And that's what you always will have in the end. You won't even have your body anymore, right? You only have your soul. So it's like the perfection of the soul is what you should strive for, because that's what's going to matter in the end. Not what you have, not how you look, you know. It's about your soul, because that's all you're going to have in the end. So it's like, why not work on it? So then in the end, you won't have anything to worry about. So that's just how I view it. Like, God ain't gonna be worried about how you look when you pass on, you know. You're gonna worry about like, what did you do while you were down there? What did you learn? You know, what did you apply to your life to grow? And if you have nothing to show for, it's like with the dark heart on top of that, it's just like you have to go back and learn the lesson again. So I don't know. That's why I think like it's good to work on your soul as much as you can versus anything else, because that's the only thing that's gonna matter in the end, if that makes sense. It's good to have certain things, you know, like I'm not saying like having certain things in life is bad or anything like that, but it becomes like an issue when you prioritize it over things that actually truly matter, right? Because it just throws you off track, and it's like you're not focusing on what you need to focus on to help you grow. You're not striving past it. You're just staying in one spot on the bottom of the tree, and you can't move because you're stuck like by some branches pulling you down to the earth, right? So you have to release yourself from being binded to the time and space, and like you can't do that unless you actually work on yourself, right? And then once you free yourself from the obstacles and just the forces, the cosmic forces that will bind you to time and space, once you free yourself, then you'll be able to see yourself at a higher aspect, right? So you'll be able to see yourself in a higher form. To be able to understand that, you have to get over certain things like your ego and having a heavy heart. You can't really grow if you have all that going on. So that's what I learned, you know, and it actually helped me because I ended up growing more and more and learning more things. You know, I became more wiser with certain things, and which only helped me gain more power to be able to grow, to get to the godliest state of myself. And we all have it in us, but you just got to learn how to get there. And that's why I kind of like share my journey with you guys a little bit, to kind of like help some people, because you never know what people actually go through. And I know a lot of people didn't know what I went through, you know, so only I know, and God, you know. So I don't know, but the universe ain't gonna work with you if you have a heavy heart. That's all I gotta say. If anything, it'll work against, like, you'll get what you put out pretty much. So you can't have a heavy heart and get energy back. Or like even dabbling into witchcraft and stuff like that, right? To do dark stuff upon others, you're putting it on the universe, so it's gonna come back to you eventually. Even if you try to, you know, place it upon someone else, it's gonna eventually come back to you because you're the one that put that energy out. And how is the universe gonna work with you if you have a dark heart and you're putting out so much negative energy? It can't work with you because you're just getting the energy you put out. And if you put out negativity, that's what you're gonna get back. So it can't work with you. But if you have a good heart and purify yourself, it helps you put out more good energy, which it'll reflect back to you, right? So yeah. I mean, over time, the more that you grow, the more that you will become more spiritually evolved, and the closer that you'll become more godlike, right? And then the universe will actually start working with you instead of against you. Because that's the energy you're putting out, if that makes sense. So that's why I don't really worry about when people do certain things to me, like negative things and stuff like of that sort, because I know it's going to come back to them, right? Regardless. And then my energy is going to come back to me too, because I put positive energy out and they throw negativity towards me. Whatever I'm putting out is eventually going to come back to me, and then whatever they're putting out is going to come back to them. So it's going to be balanced in the end, because the universe sees everything, which is God. Pretty much God sees everything. And so that's why, like, a lot of times when people think that they be getting away with certain things, it'll just come back randomly, like out of nowhere, and they always get their karma back somehow through different means. Who knows? Maybe a different person, and they might not even realize it, you know, why they're receiving such maybe like hardships or just things that will like stunt their growth. You know, they don't even know why. They probably think someone else is doing magic on them, but in reality, it's just the energy that they actually put out to the universe. So it's really good to be mindful of what you put out into the universe, because God sees everything, right? And eventually that energy is gonna come back to you. So regardless. But anyway, that is my testament for today. I just wanted to come and wish you guys a good rest of your week and talk a little bit. Next time I'll probably try to like touch a little bit more on the cosmic forces, so that way you guys can understand a little bit more of where I'm coming from with that, to be able to overcome them and strive through them and embody certain energies to be able to get to where you need to go, right? So yeah, but anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go, and I'll be back with another video soon to talk. So yeah, I love you guys. Have a good day. Bye.